Hey everyone, we're taking a look at the top 15 most high-tech stadiums in the world. These are hubs of technology that enhance the fan experience. Let's start with number 15, the AAMI Park. When it comes to design, few stadiums are quite like AAMI Park. It's located in the Australian city of Melbourne. It's got a strange geodesic dome roof. This not only allows for fewer support structures than needed with a typical rectangle-shaped stadium, but also helps provide shade to spectators without blocking out light. And perhaps coolest of all, the exterior of the stadium is covered in thousands of LED lights, all of which can be programmed to display a variety of patterns and images to the people of Melbourne after dark. Number 14. Fortress Melbourne. Alright, we're staying down under. In 2020, Populous completed what is now the largest esports venue in the Southern Hemisphere. Located in Melbourne, Australia, Fortress Melbourne is a 1,000-person venue featuring 160 gaming PCs, console gaming suites, a restaurant, 2 bars, a merchandise shop, and even a 200-seat esports arena spread across 2,700 square meters of space. Thanks to the venue's 6 vs 6 player podium and 3x9 meter indoor screen, it's easy to follow along with the competitors, creating an immersive experience. So, if you happen to be in Melbourne and love gaming, I'd suggest checking this one out. Number 13. BC Place. While BC Place was built back in 1983, $560 million of renovations undertaken in prep for the Vancouver 2010 Winter Olympics made it a top-tier facility for football and soccer matches. These renovations were pretty expansive, included the addition of a retractable roof that can be opened or closed in the space of 20 minutes, a huge center-hung video board with 2 HD screens that are the equivalent to 450 42-inch flat-screen TVs, and it's got 8,000 Wi-Fi points and a grand total of 1,150 digital screens. All this, alongside improvements to acoustics, seat space, the entranceway, and the turf, make BC Place a truly incredible building. Number 12. Manchester City's Metaverse Stadium. While the Metaverse was kind of discredited as useless months ago, this hasn't stopped Manchester City from becoming the first team to set up a stadium there. Built via a 3-year agreement with Sony, this proof-of-concept stadium lets fans participate in activities at a virtual version of the team's Etihad Stadium. Using their own custom avatars, they can run, dance, and celebrate around the stadium, and given the large amount of money put into it, the whole thing seems kind of pointless, especially since watching from a bar is way more engaging than inside the Metaverse. Well, I guess only time will tell whether or not the Manchester City's tech-based Metaverse experiment is gonna pay off. Number 11. Escon Field, Hokkaido. On the northern Japanese island of Hokkaido, baseball is the most popular sport, and most people there cheer for the Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters. However, Hokkaido is pretty cold, so their new 35,000-person stadium has some interesting tech behind it. More specifically, it's got a massive transparent wall on one side, allowing the stadium to be fully shut in the winter, while still being able to support natural grass. Additionally, the 166-meter-wide movable roof is one of the largest in the world, and it's specifically designed to withstand the weight of snow and the extreme temperature differences there. So, be it rain, snow, shine, Escon Field in Hokkaido can operate without a hitch. Number 10. The Intuit Dome. Los Angeles is a city that's known for its glitz and glam, and the Los Angeles Clippers' Intuit Dome is certainly one of the jewels on top of the city's crown. While Crypto.com was the Clippers' main arena for years, the new Intuit Arena is almost completed, and it's scheduled to open in August of 2024. In terms of design, the dome is pretty impressive. It's built in a bowl shape. The goal is for all the spectators to be as close to the court as possible. In fact, a seat in row 20 will be about 14 meters closer than that current Clippers arena. For reference, that's equal to almost half of a basketball court, meaning that this change should make a meaningful difference. The court's also home to something known as the Wall, consisting of 51 uninterrupted rows of seats that fit close to 5,000 fans. The idea is that this will help enhance the Clippers' home court advantage by intimidating opposing teams. Yet maybe the coolest feature is the massive scoreboard here. Set to be almost a full acre in size, it's absolutely massive. That's to say, it's going to be equivalent to about 3,600 60-inch televisions and have more than 230 million LEDs. It's going to make it 5 times larger than the scoreboard at any other NBA arena. And the seats are set to have the most legroom and headroom in the league as well. Best of all, the stadium's going to be located in a massive 80,000 square foot outdoor plaza. To call it grand is a bit of an understatement. Bordered by Roman-style steps, it's going to include 2 bars, a restaurant, and 5,000 square foot team store. Now, that's not to say that everything's perfect. After all, it's costing $2 billion to build the stadium, and with a capacity of 18,000 people, it definitely won't be the largest stadium around. However, given the incredible fan experience and the high-tech stuff, I'd say the upsides outweigh the downsides here. Number 9. The Qiddiya City Esports Arena. So in the past few years, Saudi Arabia has invested billions of dollars into making the country a glamorous tourist destination. Part of this effort has included, of all things, the introduction of the esports facilities. Via both the National Gaming and Esports Strategy and Saudi Vision 2030, the country aims to make Saudi Arabia a global hub for gaming and esports and attract up to 10 million visitors by 2030. Given the fact that about 29% of Saudi Arabia's citizens are interested in esports, expanding e-gaming could prove to be a great way to make money from both citizens and tourists. And to date, the Qiddiya City Esports Arena is at the heart of this effort. In essence, this city will be a massive entertainment complex, and the esports arena will be one of many attractions to visit. The plan is for it to be able to seat about 5,200 people, and its slate of 4D haptic seats, massive screens, and most advanced AV systems available will ensure that visitors enjoy a fully immersive and ever-changing experience. Beyond the seating area itself, the arena also offers a slate of fun features. After all, it includes centralized arcade with breakout zones for gaming, a food souk retail space, and an immersive entertainment zone. This design ambition extends to the food and beverage offerings too, providing some variety and choice via some techie options such as a self-checkout market and gaming bar. All in, the combined space will cover a whopping 500,000 square meters, making this stadium a mega project of epic proportions. Now, exactly when this esports arena will open is still pretty unclear. However, what's certainly true is that it will host events that are there as part of the Esports World Cup and will undoubtedly be an international hub for esports. Number 8. SoFi Stadium. So according to many pundits, SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles may just be the most technologically advanced stadium in the NFL. First and foremost, its roof is far different than what you'd expect at most stadiums. Often called the TV roof by passengers flying into LAX, in essence, it's an independently supported translucent canopy. Now, while this allows people in airplanes to watch the games from above, what it's meant to do is make the indoor stadium feel like it's located outdoors. Yet, if game organizers are going for more of an indoor feel, they can make use of the canopy's 28,000 LED pucks to project images and videos that are visible overhead. The stadium is also home to a wraparound mega screen, better known as the Infinity Screen. It's the first of its kind, 360-degree dual-sided 4K HDR video board that allows spectators to enjoy the game even if they're located in the nosebleeds. This 1,000-ton, 70,000-square-foot masterpiece of a contemporary technology has a grand total of 80 million pixels in its display, 268 speakers, and 56 5G antennas. This stadium stands apart for being the first major venue in the U.S. to implement digital twin technology. Now, this uses data gathered from every aspect of the venue and its surrounding Hollywood Park mega development to create a virtual copy of the stadium. These copies provide info to a database that can then be analyzed so that future games can be optimized for a better spectator experience. And as a final note, SoFi is part of a growing number of sports venues that are cashless, ensuring that less foul play results in regard to currency exchange. It is thanks to all of this that SoFi is not only a great stadium for the LA Rams today, but will also be an incredible venue during the 2028 Summer Olympics. Moving on to number 7, Esports Stadium in Arlington. In recent years, esports have become increasingly popular, and the Esports Stadium in Arlington, Texas is an example of how exciting they can be. Opened in 2018, its cost of $10 million was extremely cheap for a stadium, and by many accounts, it offers great bang for its buck. Now, it's got a 26-meter-long LED board and an impressive surround sound system. This board broadcasts what's on stage, and that stage is pretty impressive because it can have a lot of gamers on it. More specifically, it can have up to 100 game stations firing away at any one time, allowing for everything from 1v1s to massive battle royales. In order to record everything, the arena makes use of 8 Grass Valley LDX 4K capable cameras, plenty of high-tech lenses, and most importantly, a control room. This allows for it to operate at a minimum as 1080p facility, but just in case, there's also a 4K ready solution and a fiber optic cable throughout the venue. This ensures that upgrades can be made over time without really costing a fortune, allowing the stadium to continue to operate for years without becoming obsolete. The stadium also relies on a massive equipment room that houses about 19 racks of gear and more than 61,000 meters of fiber and copper cabling. It's thanks to all this tech that the stadium can entertain up to 2,500 people without there being a hitch. As you might imagine, a stadium as techy as this one has not gone unnoticed by other sports leagues, and now it's started to branch into non-gaming events. For example, in May of 2024, it hosted an all-elite wrestling event. The plan is for these events to continue throughout the summer, so I think it's fair to say the city of Arlington has gained a lot from its new and rather unique high-tech stadium. Number 6. The National Stadium. While Taiwan may not be known for its sporting prowess, its National Stadium was a pioneer in the world of sports. That's because it was the first, and to date, one of the largest solar-powered stadiums on the planet. Built in order to be the main venue for the 2009 World Games, it's the country's largest stadium and was designed by the acclaimed Japanese architect Toyo Ito. With a capacity of 55,000, it's absolutely massive, and it cost about $150 million to build, and today is often used to host soccer matches, although it sees other uses that go outside what's traditional. Yet soccer aside, it also has an incredible design. Now visually, the stadium looks like a curled dragon or a snake resting on the landscape, with a large gap between its head and the tail that serves as the entrance to the arena. This dragon of sorts is covered in what look like scales, yet the reality is that they aren't just for show. These are actually large solar panels. In fact, all told, the stadium's covered with about 8,844 of them, making it the first stadium in the world that runs completely on its own energy. It's also the largest photovoltaic system in Taiwan, as it's capable of supplying over 1.14 gigawatt-hours of electricity annually. The stadium was also made in a sustainable way. It was built using 100% recyclable raw materials. It's relatively eco-friendly, while calculations made with the summer wind direction in mind to ensure that air circulates freely to maximize natural cooling. The temperature control measures continue on the roof as the design protects spectators from the sun while also collecting rainwater for use in the stadium. To top this off, the stadium's surrounded by nearly 7 acres of public green spaces, including a park with tropical plants, bicycle paths, sports parks, and an ecological pond. So, if you happen to be in Taiwan on the day of a soccer game, I suggest going and get tickets so that you can enjoy the match inside while also enjoying this beautiful stadium. Number 5. The Coliseum. Okay, so the Coliseum may be an old one, yet it's pretty impressive. It deserves a spot on this list due to it being way ahead of its time, and in some ways more high-tech than stadiums that we have today. Built between the years 70 and 80 AD by the Roman Emperor Vespasian, it was meant to be a gift to the Roman people so they could watch gladiator fights and other entertainment. The idea was that this type of entertainment would keep the people on side after years of turmoil, showcasing a new period of imperial prosperity and stability. It was built right in the heart of Rome, both for symbolic and practical reasons. On the practical side, being right the center of the city made it easily accessible. However, it was also a symbol of the empire's power and a symbol of Jewish conquest. After all, it was largely financed by the spoils taken from the Jewish temple after the First Jewish-Roman War of 70 AD, and once completed, it could reportedly seat between 50 to 80,000 people, giving Roman citizens a tangible way to enjoy the pillaging of a far-off land. The entertainment here was a bit different than what we'd expect today. Shocking fights would happen between gladiators, and oftentimes exotic animals such as rhinos, crocodiles, bears, bulls, and elephants would be in there. While their work was dangerous, these gladiators were well compensated, the sports stars of the ancient world. Some amassed massive fortunes. One gladiator named Diocles is believed to have made the modern equivalent of about $13 billion by the time he retired. Yet beyond the gladiator fights, the Coliseum would also host a number of other events. This is where its high-tech features were most pronounced. For example, it could be flooded on purpose so that naval battles could be recreated. In fact, it's believed to have been used for a wide floodable channel down its central axis in order to make it possible. It was also used for non-combative purposes such as theater, and the Coliseum was ideal for this because its shape as an amphitheater created top-of-the-line acoustics. More specifically, the curved shape of the building, the marble material, and staggered steps help sound move more easily through. In all types of events, there was also a two-storied complex of hallways where everyone from gladiators to actors would wait until being called, allowing for better organization and dramatic effect. In many ways, modern stadiums have tried to copy features of the Coliseum in order to make their stadiums work better. So the Coliseum was not only relevant in the ancient world, but it also continues to be technologically relevant today. Number 4. The Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. As one of England's largest football clubs, it makes sense that Tottenham Hotspurs has a massive stadium. However, it also stands apart from being one of the most technologically advanced. Completed in 2019 at a cost of about £1 billion, it's grand in every way possible. First and foremost, its seating capacity of nearly 63,000 makes it the third largest football stadium in England and the largest in London. Yet beyond the size, it also has a neat multi-use feature. You see, unlike most English football pitches, the stadium's not only home to the Tottenham Hotspurs, but also hosts the American version of football. That is to say, it's the official home of the NFL in England. Every year, NFL games are played at the stadium, and in the last few, it's become normal for a few regular season matches to happen there. While this may be a great way to bring in revenue, it brought about a massive technological challenge. You see, it's the norm for the Premier League pitches to be made of grass, and as you might imagine, playing American football in grass can lead to a lot of it being torn up. That means that American football usually has to be played on turf, meaning that Tottenham Hotspurs had to find a way to make the stadium have both. Against all odds, they managed to do it using an extremely high-tech system. That's because with the help of company SCX, they managed to create the world's first retractable dividing pitch. In essence, most of the time it has natural grass. However, when the football games are on, it can be rolled back to reveal an artificial surface below. Now, technically, this feature isn't new. After all, in Germany, Russia, Arizona, and Las Vegas, they all have retractable fields at their stadiums. However, what makes the Hotspurs pitch different is the fact that it's dividable. You see, with all those other examples, one pitch lives outside while the other is inside. However, to keep the Hotspurs arena located in this very urban area, it's simply impossible to keep a whole soccer field standing outside. As a result, the designers had to get clever. In order to keep the grass field intact when it wasn't being used, it's kept underground in an area what's originally supposed to be for car parking. Since there are multiple supporting columns underground, the only way to actually fit the pitch in the parking garage was by splitting it into 3 pieces. However, by going through this process, the grass can be kept underground and in good condition for up to 3 weeks at a time, allowing the NFL to use the stadium without there being any major issue. Number 3. The Forest Green Stadium. If you haven't heard of Forest Green, I wouldn't blame you. After being relegated from the 4th tier of English football this season, they'll now be plying their trade in the 5th tier, which is a level so low that not all the teams are even professional clubs. This makes them more or less of an unknown entity to those living outside of England. Yet, despite this rather bleak designation on a team that just a few years ago was in the 3rd tier, Forest Green has certainly one thing going for them. It's the stadium. After all, while it's normally top-tier clubs that have the most innovative stadiums, Forest Green Rovers is a notable exception. All the way back in 2016, they announced plans to make a 5,000-seat eco-friendly stadium. Now, this was spearheaded by team owner and green energy magnate Dale Vance. The idea was to create a 2-field stadium that's completely made out of timber wood. The idea is that soccer fields within the stadium would be organic, free of pesticides, free of fertilizer, and free of chemicals. And the hope was that the grass will even be tended to by an electric lawnmower powered by solar energy. Outside the stadium itself, though, the so-called Eco Park will have electric vehicle and bike charging stations throughout, while around 500 trees and 1.8 kilometers of hedgerows will be planted at the site to promote biodiversity. There's even plans for a new wetland and canal, and once all is said and done, the site aims to generate over 80% of the energy that it uses. Now, it should be noted that there's been some backlash. After all, many stakeholders are worried that the construction would cause a lot of noise and disruption. In fact, in June of 2019, the District Council rejected the original plans for the stadium amid concerns about noise, traffic, and the impact on the landscape. However, after a modified application was submitted, it was approved in December of 2019. And as an interesting side note, there's many in English football that have a dislike of Forest Green. After all, not only have they had a relatively large budget for years thanks to David Vance's bankroll, but they've also done some things that fans have found irksome, namely the world's first ever vegan football match in 2014. Yet those of you who like a team with a real eco-friendly progressive bend, Forest Green is certainly an interesting team, with an interesting stadium. Number 2. The Oakland A's New Stadium. Oakland, California is a relatively small city, so it should come as little surprise that they have a pretty small market. And while the popular movie Moneyball definitely put them on the map, their owners have recently envisioned a better spot to relocate the team, and that spot is in Las Vegas. The only small hiccup is that Las Vegas doesn't have a major baseball stadium. However, by the 2028 season, this is going to change with the introduction of the new Las Vegas Stadium. In March of this year, the Oakland Athletics and their design teams released renderings of the club's planned $1.5 billion stadium. Set to have over 33,000 seats, the domed ballpark has 5 overlapping layers that give it a similar look to the famous Sydney Opera House. Now, in order to build it all, the stadium's going to make use of land that's owned by Bally's. More specifically, the plan is for them to demolish the company's Tropicana resort so both the stadium and a new hotel can be built. In order to come up with the money, the owners will have to front most of it. However, part of the package for relocating includes $380 million in taxpayer money that's been approved by the Nevada legislature. Well, beyond the stadium itself, the premises is going to have about 2,500 parking spots, with more available at the T-Mobile Stadium, which is just down the street. Now, while this high-tech, flashy stadium may be cool, it comes with its own slate of problems. First and foremost, it's going to be the second smallest stadium in the MLB. If attendance numbers are high, this could lead to the stadium having less room than it needs, leading to a loss in potential revenue. You see, while Major League Baseball owners unanimously approve the move, there are questions as to where Oakland will play for the next few years. While the A's will stay in Oakland throughout this season, they originally intended to move out after this year. However, with the 2028 move date being so far away, and with it only being possible if everything is done on time, the team met with city officials to discuss the possibility of extending their agreement. Well, thankfully, in April of this year, Sacramento agreed to host the team from 2025 to 2027, ending the relocation saga and allowing the city of Oakland to regroup with their 56-year-old MLB team. Number 1. Lusail Stadium. In the lead-up to the 2022 World Cup, Qatar was tasked with building a whole slate of new soccer stadiums in order to host the competition. Now, given the country's lack of soccer culture, this proved to be a gargantuan task, and perhaps the most pivotal of their projects was the Lusail Stadium. With a capacity that comes in just shy of 90,000 people, it's the largest stadium in both Qatar and the Middle East, and it was made in the way that was meant to be absolutely elegant. Designed with a primary aim of creating an immersive atmosphere, the pitch and its relationship with the seating bowl was the starting point of the stadium's design. The 307-meter diameter spoke wheel cable net roof works wonders here. After all, not only is it the world's largest tensile cable net roof, but it's also very high-tech. You see, this outer compression ring is connected to a central tension ring by a complex cabling system. This is rather ingenious because it creates a wide, expansive roof without the need for supporting columns. The high-tech facade and innovative roof also help to regulate some energy consumption, with the building even managing to achieve a 5-star rating under the Global Sustainability Assessment System. As put by architect Chris Lee, if you think the stadium roof is a little bit like an airplane wing, you can direct the prevailing wind quite a lot by how you orientate the stadium and how you tip or dip the leading edge of the roof. So if you think of how an airplane wing tips up, the air rushes and effectively jumps on a different trajectory, that's more or less how it's done. The whole principle works in a very simple manner, thermodynamic way. Cool air is heavier and sinks to the bottom, and hot air rises, as we all know. So you put the cool air in, it sits on a lower level, then you design the roof and the orientation so the hot air doesn't ingress into the opening and down onto the pitch. Well, the end result is a stunning stadium that uses a lot of on-the-field technology. For the first time ever, the 2022 World Cup marked the use of the Al-Rila, the Arabic for journey. This is a soccer ball that features the latest Adidas suspension system. This was vital because it contains motion sensors that relay the ball's position on the pitch at a rate of 500 times a second. The stadium, like others in Qatar, have 12 dedicated cameras to monitor the position of the ball and 29 points on players' bodies to monitor movement. They can make decisions in real time and tell human refs on the pitch what calls they should make. Well, the idea behind this is ensures offside calls and the goal decisions are as accurate as possible. Now, while there are some to object to the use of this kind of technology and who instead prefer the human touch of human refs, the problem with this stadium go far deeper than its invasive use of technology. That's because in order to build it, a series of abhorrent human rights abuses were made. More specifically, in order to create this stadium and its counterparts, Qatar had to bring in millions of migrant workers. Oftentimes, the passports of these workers would be taken upon arrival, and for years they would be forced to live and work in horrible and often very dangerous conditions. Shockingly, it was the norm for recruitment fees to eat up almost all of the profits made by the workers, and oftentimes they would live in conditions where more than 10 workers would share one room, and where their wages would be routinely stolen from them. It's because of this that many human rights activists and concerned citizens refuse to attend matches in stadiums in Qatar, and it's also for that reason that the legacy of this stadium is marred by the horrors that went into building it. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time. Thank you to our channel members.